Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Stonks Maxxing Day 56. So, this is the tech coverage and thoughts stream. I don't really have a goal for this, but it's been a while since I streamed, and I turned in my tech coverage for last week, but forgot to stream it. Just moved into an apartment in Baltimore, and it's kind of busy moving in. Ended up turning in my actual write-up like around 12 a.m. I didn't feel like talking, but hey, maybe I gotta stream those moments. But what I want to do right now, I was looking at a job at Howard Hughes, which that would be interesting. But what do I want to do? Okay, so I kind of want to build off the technology framework I was working on in Notion. And let me see if you guys can see this. No, you cannot. Okay. Mac OS screen capture. Alright, there you go. Now you guys can see this. See what I'm looking at. Yeah, this is just a simple little Notion document of some notes that I had, I think after going online, talking with ChatGPT, some different sectors about technology, and also I think this is an interview with Elad Gil and Sarah Guo on the No Priors podcast. Or it could be with, I think, Tommy Guan. I forgot his exact last name, but the CEO of Y Combinator. So that was an interview I remember watching and took some notes on. I really like this. You can kind of tell if something is going to be important. But it's really hard to know how important it's going to be. And this is also interesting from Sarah Guo, that software as a service are really just wrappers around databases, but sometimes those wrappers can be really thick and essential. So this kind of brings back, let's start from the top again. This kind of relates to what AI is today. A lot of these applications that are consumer facing or even business facing within specific sub-industry verticals. So when I say that, I'm thinking about HR AI as a service, if that's even a thing. Healthcare AI as a service. So some specific examples I'm trying to think of. One could be a chatbot that you just have on your website that really is just a AI ChatGPT wrapper. But sometimes you could use the foundation models from OpenAI, Anthropic, Perplexity, and fine-tune it in order to get to something that is relevant for your task. And that process of fine-tuning isn't always as straightforward as people think. There's a lot of CapEx involved. You need the actual GPUs to do that. I guess if you're constrained for cash, what you can do is really just buy cloud credits or just buy compute from AWS, so an EC2 instance, or I think you can even host Google Colab notebooks or just rent a H100 GPU on Google Colab for I think like $100 for it's a decent amount of GPU, RAM, and processing. I don't know the exact details. That would be helpful though to find out. Okay. Yeah, a company like Google is just too big. It's so big, right? Does a single person know exactly how a company makes money? Like all of the revenue opportunities that Google has? I have no idea. I don't know if does Sundar Pichai know? I don't know. But this I think is a very interesting, profound quote. Puts into context some of the technological innovations that we're looking at right now. I just watched a NeetCode YouTube video, and he was saying that there's a lot of hype around AI right now, and there's a lot of uncertainty going forward. I'm trying to think about what else he said, because that's kind of broad strokes, but my mind is blanking. I think he also drew this binary search tree type structure where you start at the top, you have Google's mind, and you have two branches coming out of Google's brain. One branch says, I'm just going to let this AI wave pass us. I'm not going to really do anything about it. Second branch is, okay, this AI stuff is really important. I'm going to invest as much money as possible to build out a whole AI database, a whole AI data center. Said database before, probably meant data center. Whole AI data center. I'm going to invest heavily CapEx in building GPU clusters, buying GPU clusters, they have TPU, so tensor processing units, and also building the infrastructure to run and train all of these AI models. So from those two branches, more so the invest in AI at all costs branch, you have two options again. Either this works out, Google makes a lot of money, or it doesn't work out, and Google loses a lot of money from the AI stuff. His conclusion was, at the end of the day, whether or not you choose to invest in AI, or if you just decide to skip it by, Google is going to make a shit ton of money regardless, through probably their advertising on search. That might be under threat now with Search GPT from OpenAI. And you also have models like Perplexity and Find, which you can type in a prompt. It'll pretty much do the search for you, summarize all the important details, and give you helpful links. So that's really interesting. But yeah, there's those two. So going back to the previous idea, Google at this point, they make a lot of money. Regardless of the outcome, probably going to make a decent amount of money. So they're going to try to spend as much as possible to ensure that they don't get left behind. This is their number one priority. They already have enough money that they don't know what to do with it. So I think that's the way to think about it with these hyperscalers. So hyperscalers being big tech companies that have really sophisticated and scalable infrastructure. Specifically cloud infrastructure for other companies to scale on. So you can scale infinitely pretty much. Let's say you're a startup company that tries to compete with Netflix. Netflix maybe has data centers that they own in order to be able to serve the streaming videos whenever you go onto their website. They also might do some cloud stuff too. I don't know the exact details. But a small startup doesn't have to invest in $1 billion data center just so it can serve these videos for you to stream on demand. They can just buy compute or clusters or servers from AWS, Google Cloud, or Microsoft Azure, and just scale up to how much ever they need in order to match the amount of demand from their customers. And I think it's pretty flexible. They can set a limit or don't set a limit. So I think AWS will do all of that server configuration using its own software and infrastructure. Yeah, so I think I rambled a bit there, but that's probably where I would kind of start off this stream with that in mind. AI, a lot of applications today are wrappers around foundation models, but that might not be a bad thing because today software as a service websites, they're really just wrappers around databases. It's just showing data in a digestible format. So other GPT or other AI applications may be the same concept. Okay. Yeah, so one thing I have been kind of juggling a bit is how do I think about tech, right? How do I build a framework about how do I build a framework to break down the entire tech industry? Should I break it down into sectors, to technology, to end markets, to geography? So one thing I am that does come to mind is like, okay, you can look at this from two perspectives, a hardware perspective and a software perspective. Hardware, it's probably related to semiconductors, peripherals, the actual original equipment manufacturers that build the computers or physical phones, anything that maybe relies upon an integrated circuit can be thought of as hardware. And even the integrated circuit itself can be thought of as hardware. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Okay. And then you also have software, which I guess allows people to communicate with their hardware, right? And it allows you to harness the power of what an integrated circuit to do, or what an integrated circuit can do. So yeah, that's maybe one way to look at it. Heading to this naive view one. There are, let's say, 3 ways to split up the tech industry. Tech. So let's go software, because when you look at AI, I mean, really, what is it? It's just software. It's a line or a file of code that gets written, and I think it just gets trained. So what is training a model? Like what is that actually doing? I think at the end of the day, with these generative pre-trained transformers, so the GPT models, all it really is, it's combination of dot products from linear algebra and nonlinear functions. So I think something like a tanh or a rectified linear unit. These are kind of the building blocks of a transformer or a large language model. I don't know. Yeah, I'm forgetting some of the exact details and exact terminology, but that's how to think about it. So hardware, and then the last thing I didn't mention was services. So think programs that interact with hardware. How do I describe it? Services. So I'm thinking tech services as companies or people that will actually help you navigate both the software and hardware side. So this is like an Accenture, but I don't know if that's really a big thing. Insight partners. I know there's Insight Enterprises. Okay, so I guess these are just like consultants. Okay, so 3 ways to split up tech: software, programs that interact with the hardware, physical devices, / technology, process, information, tech services, which are just consultants. That's my naive view number 1. I think naive view 2, call it tech POV. Call it the customer POV. Are 2 ways to split tech. So I guess this is even broader. So it's not just technology, but there's kind of this idea of selling to consumers, everyday people, and selling to businesses, corporations. I think I don't know if it's a framework or a model, or I don't know if there's a finance term to describe it, but I think there is an inherent difference between companies that sell to businesses and sell to consumers. The actual end market here is slightly different, or I guess it is very different, because you're selling to one, an actual person, and two, to some type of legal entity, which people might think could be soulless. And the sole goal really is to increase shareholder value. So there's two different, how should I say this? There are two fundamentally different customers that have different motivations. Yeah. Fundamentally have different motivations. Okay, so that's my naive view too. Okay, so yeah, that could be. I do like naive view one because I think this is like the most bare bones, straightforward way to look at it, right? You either have software or hardware. There is nothing to it but that. Once you go into software, then you can kind of break it down to special types of, then maybe you could break it down into more specialized subsectors or sub-industries. So within software, you have AI, cybersecurity, application software, data software. Once you're in application software, you can break it down into maybe some sub-verticals. So this could be marketing as a service or MarTech, ad tech. So think of Klaviyo or TapTap. Another I guess another way of looking at it is like entertainment technology. So this could be another subsector. Think Netflix, which I don't know if you could argue that it is a tech company. I think it is. That is some type of application software technology. So maybe like entertainment tech or entertainment software. I think you can also think of healthcare software. So maybe this is software to help with clinical trial. I don't know. There's probably a lot of names in this sector. I'm not really familiar with any of them. But yeah, so what I just said before, within application sector or within application software subsector, you can break that down even further to subsectors like marketing tech, like entertainment technology, like health tech. So I don't know why I said technology for entertainment, but I think that is kind of interesting way to think about it. Yeah, so there is an interesting Wall Street Prep, I think that's what it is, software as a service guide, which could be interesting to go through. Yeah, it's SaaS metrics. This could be interesting. Biotech sum of parts. This also could be very interesting. Industry specific. Oh my god. Okay, I didn't realize you had to pay for these. Alright. Okay. Why is this one free then? Oh wait, was it not free? Shoot. Oh, right here. Okay. I might add this here just so I don't forget. Okay. So 2 naive tech frameworks to kind of understand the landscape. So thanks. Now I kind of want to tie this in right back to So one other thing came to mind, and it has to do with the idea of software versus hardware from a CapEx perspective, from a spending perspective, right? I think with these two types of business models, or with these two types of technologies, one is usually more expensive than the other. Hardware is usually more expensive, more capex, capital expenditure intensive compared to software, right? Hardware, so real asset usually, so it has real problems. Software, it really is kind of this abstract notion almost. It's an instruction, and sure, instructions get old, but you can amortize this cost across thousands of people without producing any type of variable cost, right? Yeah, so I think when I'm looking at kind of this AI wave today, right, there's two very broad buckets I think it's commonly that people look at. So one is the gold miners going to this picks and shovel versus the gold miners, that analogy that is used a lot. So when I think of gold miners, I'm thinking about OpenAI, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Google, Meta, maybe even startup gold miners. So I guess these are bootstrapped gold miners like Claude, I think that's Anthropic, Perplexity, Mistral. So all of these guys are building the foundation models that other companies will hopefully one day use in their application. And this is kind of like the gold in this whole AI gold rush. The picks and shovels are most commonly thought of as the NVIDIAs, the SK Hynixes, the AMDs of the world that creates the semiconductors on which these models are trained. I think, yeah, sure, these are kind of two good ways to look at it, but there's some software that has to connect the hardware and the model, right? I think NVIDIA actually does most of that. So they have their CUDA platform that I think is the de facto standard when training models. You don't actually have to write super low level code in order to interact with the GPU. I think CUDA kind of abstracts all of that for you, so you don't have to worry about that. But maybe there's another layer of software that can help with combining these LLM features with maybe a front end or some type of software that can maybe combine multiple LLMs. So I don't know if it's some type of API or yeah, I'm trying to think. Could you have some type of software program that will allow you to interact with multiple AI models at once? Or could you have one AI model, let's say like a Llama 3.1, talk with a GPT-4 model, right? That would be interesting. I think maybe that's something implementable with Hugging Face. So I guess Hugging Face does some of this model hub, GitHub type thing where you can pretty much pull any model that you want. It's open source. Or I guess you can even use closed source models and just pay, I don't know, a gas fee, I don't know what to call it, an API token fee, just for calling the APIs. So I guess there's probably some API infrastructure set up in order to actually communicate with these large language models from a programmatic sense. So what I'm doing right now is I'm thinking, right, like when the internet era happened, the internet boom happened, right? The information superhighway, I don't know exactly what that refers to. Is it an actual highway? Is it just a shit ton of computers? I don't know. Is AI like the browser? Like Netscape? I also don't know. Yeah, so these are kind of just some thoughts that I have, and it's pretty tough. Hey, am I being too loud, by the way? Or okay, nice. There is one thing where, so with Netscape, right? Netscape, I think they had, was it Mosaic? So Mosaic was the first, I think, well-adopted browser written by Mark Andreessen, and I wonder if there's like a similar application today, but related to this AI stuff. And a browser is just kind of this gateway to the internet, right? I wonder if there's kind of a gateway to these large language models, which I guess could be thought of as LangChain. So that really isn't a software or an application, but more so a programming language. I also think they also have some APIs that you could use to connect with some of those LLMs. But they have their chain expression language. I think they also have some software as well in order to be able to keep track of all of your API calls. So those are kind of two different things, but I don't know if it's that important and that necessary for large language model interactions. Like the thing I can think of is maybe the prompts box. Just if you go on OpenAI or ChatGPT.com, like just that prompt interface is the gateway to your large language model. Okay, so fundamentally different motivations. Yeah, so let me write this down. Commonly picks shells of so our NVIDIA, SK Hynix, SK Hynix probably not, AMD, Intel, I feel like NVIDIA, AMD, those are probably big ones. Broadcom maybe. So semiconductors. There any software I think the biggest ones I can name off the top of my head, so Scala AI, they claim to be some type of data foundry for AI. I guess this is it used to be a data labeling platform. It helped label data. I don't know if it was programmatically or something, but yeah, that is very interesting. I think that this seemed like a simple concept, but it is a really important part of building great AI systems, right? I think there was a research paper that Sequoia ended up citing that Microsoft wrote saying data is all you need. So I think that was a play on words for transformers are all you need. I forgot who originally published that paper. I think it was a group of 5 people from Microsoft. I could be wrong though. Yeah, so AI infrastructure, okay. I think another important question to ask is, okay, what actual algorithms are being used? Right, so Alexander, I feel like Alexander Wang claims there are 3 big, there is a trinity, so-called AI trinity. Okay, so first you have algorithms, transformers, GPT, diffusion, so algorithms, yeah, transformers, I think. Yeah. So I think you also have the compute maybe and data. So scale AI. Let's see. Yeah, maybe I could watch this. Oh, he doesn't have an E in his name. Interesting. Gonna watch this.
Design a
Today, I'm excited to welcome Alex Wang, who started Scale AI as a 19-year-old college dropout. Scale has since become a juggernaut in the AI industry. Modern AI is powered by 3 pillars: compute, data, and algorithms. While research labs are working on algorithms and AI chip companies are working on the compute pillar, Scale is the data foundry, serving almost every major LLM effort, including OpenAI, Meta, and Microsoft. This is a really special episode for me, given Alex started Scale in my house in 2016, and the company has come so far. Alex, welcome. I'm so happy to be talking to you today.
Thanks for having me. Known you all for quite some time, so excited to be on the pod.
Why don't we start at the beginning just for a broader audience? Talk a little bit about the founding story of Scale.
Right before Scale, I was studying AI and machine learning at MIT. And this was the year when DeepMind came out with AlphaGo, where Google released TensorFlow. So sort of maybe the beginning of the deep learning hype wave or hype cycle. And I remember I was at college, I was trying to use neural networks. I was trying to train, image recognition neural networks. And the thing I realized very quickly is that these models were very much so just a product of their data. And I sort of played this forward and thought through it. And, these models, or AI in general, is the product of 3 fundamental pillars. There's the algorithms, the compute and the computation power that goes into them, and the data.
Okay, so I guess that was it. Yeah. That's crazy though, at 19. I'm 22 right now. I gotta do something with my life. Yeah, maybe this will take me somewhere. Currently at 0 views, so yeah, it's great, right? Okay, so compute data. Data is all you need. Research paper by Microsoft. Okay. Yeah, so maybe UiPath could be interesting, right? That could be an interesting company to look into. But yeah, let's get distracted, right? Let's wander around a little bit. But Alexander Wang claims there's so-called AI Trinity. Okay. So maybe this is something to think about. I think let's do /inline database. Maybe inline, right? So software. Think about AI application software, cyber security. These are kind of like the big ones I can think of, right? So AI application software, cybersecurity, which I guess is a form of application software. Yeah, do you really need hardware, semiconductors, I think maybe OEMs, semiconductors, and yeah, so I guess equipment slightly different from semiconductors. I guess semiconductors, they are the very bare bones chips that are used. Maybe you can even include ASML, but I don't know if, yeah, peripherals, maybe. Robots. Yeah, okay, I'll go with robots, right? Yeah. I'm trying to think. table. I choose a table. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about something completely random. Yeah, I feel like modeling large cap companies is so hard. Yeah, so let me see, right? This is probably an interesting place to start. And I think what I want to do here is maybe take Sequoia's framework, the AI 50. Wait, what's ARC? Okay, I guess this is like an incubator program almost. Copy image. Me comments. Sequoia. AI mind map. Oh, caption, there we go. Okay, so that's nice. All right. So Sequoia splits up. Seems like this is split up into apps and infrastructure. So inference providers, app dev frameworks, model hubs, foundation model providers. Okay, so hardware, cloud service providers, cloud data providers, label/process. So I wonder what inference providers means. Okay. So you have applications, general productivity, learning development, enterprise stack, consumer uses. So into two categories. Right, you have 1, apps, 2, infrastructure. Okay, so let's start with apps. AI applications can be bucketed. So AI apps can be put to 3 buckets. Consumer uses, enterprise, stack, industry, verticals. Yeah, I wonder. Questions to think about. Will AGI become the ultimate app killer? Right. Verticals, heading 1, infrastructure. Alright, so we have inference provider, foundation model, providers, store and compute. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 buckets. So inference providers, app dev frameworks, model hubs, foundation model providers. Okay, so store and compute. Hardware. So is Databricks publicly traded? Okay, so Cloudera, Datadog. Yeah, Splunk was also an interesting one. Okay. One of them, so Confluent I think is publicly traded. System software, yeah. Guess maybe that. System software, maybe? Okay. So I did hear figure deep allotone. So 36. Industry vertical categories. Okay. Yeah, so vector databases, I guess it's just storing numbers in a vector. I don't know exactly, right? All-purpose application development framework for working with LLMs. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna keep that. Sequoia. Constantine Bueller. Thanks, that's networking, internet, mobile, or communication. I mean, I kind of agree, kind of not. The internet, I feel like, was, I guess you could say you're communicating with data almost. If you put it like that, I mean, with AI, I feel like you're also communicating with data. It's a whole different form of communication, right? I feel like the computer, though, was sort of like a communication device now. Agentic interactions. Yeah, so I guess this is the idea of an agent, right? Like an AI agent. Something that is autonomous. Maybe it's just a software that can be plugged and played. Okay. Computer software and accessories. They've gotten cheaper. Public transport, which I guess is a service almost. Food and beverages. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. Is there an AI 30? '50, 2023. So Canvas kind of got taken out here. PyTorch. Huh. LoopNet. I feel like I've heard of. It seems like these are all bespoke data sets. Evo size and test labeling images. Okay. Yeah, is this the person? It's kind of like a random photo. Wow, that's alright. So the interesting thing is, I don't really never heard of any of these guys in this trio. I think I did hear about Pymetrics though. Huh. So it open sources this algorithm tool. Noodle. Path AI. I don't think I've... Centennial 1 sounds very familiar. Cybersecurity. Okay, what about Path AI? Upstart. Okay. Enderil. Transmission, okay. Hippo insurance. Surprises actually. Probably went public through an SPAC. Data robot. Well, I've never heard of any of these, except for Scale. Delivery vehicle. Oh, these things, interesting. It's cool. So these are all self-driving cars then. All right. Yeah, that's interesting. UiPath. Yeah, this is, oh, not this one. First AI 50. I only recognize 5 to 3 of these components. robotic process automation. Let's see.
What if you had an AI companion that effortlessly create a ServiceNow ticket for her, attaching an employment verification prospect on LinkedIn, a companion that effortlessly handled your work alongside you? Introducing UiPath Autopilot for Assistant, your trusty work buddy that helps everyone from the CEOs to the interns automate their most tedious tasks. Meet Leah, a sales manager. She's just read that a major prospect is speaking at a conference in London, and it's a great opportunity to showcase her company's products. She asks Autopilot to help plan a trip. Autopilot starts organizing the trip according to the company guidelines and notifies Leah that she needs manager approval for trips within 2 weeks.
I mean, this is pretty
Leah uploads her passport, and Autopilot uses document understanding to extract relevant information. At Leah's request, Autopilot enters these details into Concur using UiPath AI automation. Autopilot knows she needs a business visa and helps create a ServiceNow ticket for her, attaching an employment verification letter from the HR system. Then, Autopilot uses a UiPath automation to set out-of-the-office messages in Outlook and Slack, making sure Leah is covered on all fronts.
I wonder how it has control over all these.
Lastly, Leah asks Autopilot for help preparing for this meeting. Autopilot dives into Salesforce, retrieves all relevant details, and sends a personalized message to the prospect on LinkedIn. And just like that, Leah is all set for her trip. Autopilot understands your work context across different apps and systems and lets you easily get guidance and automate tasks like finding new sales leads, onboarding new hires, or preparing for a prospect meeting. Unlock productivity at work with UiPath Autopilot.
Yeah, okay, so I have to pay for Wait, what the? UI uses robots?
This is the story of two young men with big ambitions. This is the story of EY. Alwyn Ernst helps institutions thrive. The question is how. Say hello to Penny Stoker. Penny is EY's global leader of HR. What's the secret, Penny?
There's no secret. We innovate. We innovate constantly.
I turned to SAP and UiPath.
We invested in a powerful enterprise software system from SAP that spanned HR, finance, and operations. And it was efficient, but we knew it could work smarter. Well, that's when we brought in UiPath to supercharge the experience. Technology has to work around the way humans work, not the other way around. We went from 5 bots to 500 in only 18 months. We were able to realize a one-time $30 million savings after deploying automation to over 190,000 users just through a reduction of hours and training requirements for the deployment of the enterprise SAP system.
That was just the beginning. EY professionals are developing and sharing new ways of working through automation. It's helping EY remain at the forefront of working smarter and providing more value to clients.
Our purpose as a company is to build a better working world. And I know that sounds like one of those ad taglines, but it's really the core of our reason for being. The way we do that is to eat our own cooking, as it were, creating ideas internally and incubating them here.
This is an interesting marketing video. Oh, Dentsu sounds familiar. I think Dentsu is a media agency. Marketing and advertising. Okay. Ad agencies. $1 trillion in new banking value year over year. Okay. So what happens if I do try to contact sales? Okay. Okay, so it is firing people, unfortunately. Annual renewal run rate, so not annual recurring revenue. This is the same thing. Oops. Annualized renewal run rate. I guess it's the same thing, right? So renewal, right? They trademark this as the foundation of innovation. Huh. So I wonder how the automation works. Is this like an Ultrix? I guess Ultrix is more of a data preparation, but I feel like that's also automating things, right? I don't know why it keeps bringing me here. It's a UI path.
UiPath is the most advanced RPA tool in the world. I'm Anders Jensen, a professional RPA teacher and a two-time UiPath Most Valuable Professional. Let's learn some UiPath. To install UiPath, you go to uipath.com, then click Try UiPath Free in the upper right corner. Here we want to install the full automation cloud for community. That is the free full version. So click the Get Automation Cloud for Community. Fill in your email. And a password and click Create Account.
Process.
Now you will be sent a verification code on email. So let's go check our email. It's already there. So I'll copy this number here and I'll then a few. That's it. Then we'll download UiPath Studio by clicking up here. We will wait before the 800 megabyte is downloaded. That's it. We can start it. Here we will choose the quick setup. This is the version that you want to use. Click I accept the terms in the license agreement and click install.
Alright,
If you click OK to this,
this,
you'll lose this YouTube video because it will close all your browser windows. So please go up to the URL of this video and mark it and copy it. Then when you have the address of this video, close all windows. The setup. Here we can press launch. Now click sign in. That will take you to the cloud UiPath. I want to say open UiPath here. Then we are automatically.
So I wonder how that kind of verification works, because I was looking at OAuth 2.0. Is that the cybersecurity standard or the access management standard? So I don't know if it's UiPath gives a token to, in this case, Alexander, if that's the person that's running this. Yeah.
Verified. I also want to restore the pages from before, so I click restore here. Then we are back at the UiPath. So let's go down to Studio again. You can find it here. Studio or Studio X. We want to go with Studio, always Studio. Studio X is a light version of UiPath. Very few people use it. You will find very little documentation and help. So please go with UiPath Studio. Click here. This is UiPath. I will just click Don't Show here and close and let me maximize. First I want to go to Tools over here to the left, so I'll click it. Click UiPath Extensions. If you want to install browser extensions, for example for Firefox, you can do it here. That is if you want to automate that browser. We have installed Chrome. Click Settings. Modern installation is yes. Do it. It looks like this. I can double click it. We also want to inspect the UiPath Assistant. You can find it down here in the tray. It looks like this. I can double click it. The UiPath Attended Manager. Here we can start and stop automation and inspect a lot more. If you see this green light up here, that means that you have connected UiPath to the UiPath Assistant. If for somehow it is red, gray, or blue, it might look like this. Let me just sign out. Then I go back here. You can see that this is gray. I just click sign in here. And
So
again,
sorry.
I will just find the Windows and start it right here. However, we're good. I'll close again for now. Then we go back to UiPath Studio. You can always start UiPath Studio in your start menu as well by searching for UiPath Studio. And you can of course make shortcuts such as sending it to the taskbar. Go back here. So when you start up UiPath Studio, it will start on Start. And to create a new process, you go up to New Project, Process, and then we'll give it a name. Of course, in your documents, it's good for now.
VB
One thing that I would
Visual
like to talk about is whether or not you should use VB, Visual Basic, or C#. It's both under the .NET framework, and you might be inclined to use the C# because that's the most common language compared to Visual Basic. But UiPath used Visual Basic since its beginning. That means that every documentation page, every tutorial, videos, everything is in Visual Basic. So unless you have a very good reason to, don't choose the C#. I'll click Create. Let me skip this tour. Here. And I'll open up the main workflow. This
Just like
is
drag and drop
where
thing.
our activities go. We'll drag them into this canvas. It's called main and it's the default workflow sequence. The dependencies that refer to packages linked to this project. These ones are default, but we can install more. Here you'll also see our main. If I click activities down here, here are our predefined code blocks. I can drag and drop these code blocks into my main sequence. For example, I can just use a right line here and I can enter some text. So here I can say hello in quotation marks and I can run the robot. This is our very first robot. That's it. You will not see anything. But if you go down to the output, you can see our little message down here.
Yeah, this is
Click
like
the
an
output again to
integrated
minimize.
development environment.
You will find a lot more actions down here. We can expand, for example, the
Kind of like Scratch. Things. Okay. I wonder if it's the same thing as Appian. Process automation. Okay.
Hi there, I'm William, and I am so glad you want to learn Appian. Today I'll teach you how to build your first Appian application in 4 easy steps. Create an app, connect to data, and then provide access to your application's users. Bonus, add a reporting dashboard with helpful analytics. You will be able to complete these 4 steps without writing a single line of code, and all application development will be done from within the Appian Designer, where you can build, manage, and deploy applications.
Yeah, so I wonder if a company like Appian is gonna get destroyed by a foundation model like ChatGPT, or sorry, I guess GPT-4, the wrapper for GPT-4 is ChatGPT, right? Because you don't even need to know how to code. You don't actually even have to do the Appian drag and drop thing. Just ask GPT-4 to write the code for you, right?
Let's get started. When you open the Appian Designer, you land on the Applications view. From here, you can create and import applications, and you can see the list of all applications in your environments. To the left is a navigation pane that lets you navigate to several other views. For example, you can use the Objects view to search or filter for objects across all applications in the environment, or the Users view to see all applications in the environment, or the Users view to see all existing users. To the right is the Learn More pane. Use the options in this pane to quickly jump to important pages in Appian Community and product documentation. Step 1. Create an app. The app we're building today will help the busy sales manager at Acme Automobile, a commercial fleet management company, keep track of their team and key sales analytics. I'll start an app by simply clicking New Application, and then I'll name it Acme Automobile Sales Application. Notice that Appian automatically provides you with a prefix to use with all application objects. As a good practice, I'll provide a description for my application so that all other developers working in my environment know what this app is for. I'll also keep the default selection that will generate the groups and folders for my app. These objects help you to secure and organize application objects. As you can see, Appian has automatically created two groups, administrators and users, so I can secure this app by simply clicking Save to accept the default security settings. This default setting means that only the admins of my app can edit application objects, and only business users added to this app's users group will be able to access and complete work using this app. If you need additional groups, you can create them by simply clicking Add Users and Groups, and then Create New Group. Alright, let's save the app now. Once you create an app, you have a container that will store all application objects. You'll use it to deploy your application to different environments like development, staging, and production. I'm now ready for step 2, connecting to data. Once you create an app, you'll land in the Explore view, which will suggest objects that developers commonly use as an application starting point. If you already have data that you want to connect to, which we do in this example, you should start by creating a record type. To connect to data, I'll create my first record type, salesperson. Notice that Appian provided me with the application prefix and a plural name for my record. After I add a simple description and click Create, I'll be prompted to secure this new record type using groups that were created earlier. In Appian, you can use the record type objects, 1 to connect to data, and 2 to create a way for your business users to view and click. You should start by creating a record type. And instead, let's add a simple expression consisting of a function variable, fvBang row, and the reference to the avatar field in the salesperson record type.
Okay, so you're still
this expression lets Appian know which value from the entire row of data to show in a specific column. I can keep this expression as is, or I can use the default value function. This is similar to functions in Excel, to make this column display the default avatar for all records without an image. This expression uses a constant to point to the location of a default avatar. I am happy with this record list, it looks great, and notice that Appian added a search box and one default filter to this record list. If I need additional filters, I can easily configure these using the Search and User Filters tab. Next, let's generate a summary view. This is the employee details. They can also start typing the name of a sales territory.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder This is a cool feature, right? Okay, so probably going to end this one here. I am starting to feel a bit tired, but I think this is a pretty interesting thought exercise, thought experiment. First, building the framework of how to think about technology from, I'm not even on it, a software, hardware, and tech services point of view. And then another way to thinking about it as a consumer versus business point of view. Right, and then we kind of discussed about the picks and shovels of AI, NVIDIA, AMD, Broadcom, and we were wondering if there's any software companies that actually provide AI infrastructure, and didn't really get too far, but if you look in the AI page, specifically the AI 50, there are actually a few companies within the infrastructure layer that are software focused. So Hugging Faces is one of them. That should be an interesting one. Databricks, I don't know exactly what Databricks does, but Snowflakes is also on here. I don't know what Snowflake does, to be honest, either. Yeah. MongoDB, so that's kind of like their database, NoSQL database. Okay. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what an inference provider is. Clean Lab, unstructured. It would be very nice if you can kind of create your own app or box in one of these. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what that would be. Okay, I guess that being said, I am going to go to sleep now, so thanks for tuning in. I'll try to continue this tomorrow. So, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.